This will be a tutorial on how to incorporate RSS feeds into your FlexDisplay. On the main menu at the top right, click onto the button Scrolling Messages. On this next menu at the bottom left, you'll see a circular button called Add RSS Feed. Click that. You'll be taken to the newsfeed library, and as you can see here, there are already 7 entries of different news feeds. If you like one of these, you can just click it. I'm going to click New York Times. It gets highlighted in blue. And if I like that, I can then add selected and return. Hit that button. And you can see now that the New York Times entry is at the bottom. And all you have to do is make sure it's checked, and it will now just be displayed in your scrolling messages. Now let's return to that library. I'm going to hit Add RSS Feed, and I'm going to teach you how to add your own entries. So now instead we're going to hit this button called Add Entry, and you're going to have to search the web to find a RSS feed. So we're going to hit Browse Web. And you could use any search engine. I'm going to be using Yahoo. And you have to make sure and type the word RSS. And so you can now do a search. And I'm going to search for additional news feeds. Now, I just want to note that you don't have to look for news feeds. There are many RSS feeds in the area of medicine or orthodontics or dentistry or arts or music, and you could certainly search and incorporate RSS feeds on any one of those topics. So I'm going to hit Search Web, and you can see I have a number of selections. Let's pick this one called CNN. I'm going to click that. And as we look into CNN, they have several different news feeds. Let's pick the first one here called Top Stories. I'm just going to click that. And you can see here it is. There's their news feed. Looks pretty good. So what I'm after is the link. I'm going to go to the top here and right click and copy because I want that link. I'm going to shut the browser down. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to right click on this web address and paste, and there's the link. We need to title it so I can know what it is. CNN Top Stories. And if I want, optionally, I can just sample it and take a look. Hit that sample button. And you can see that each one of the news items is numbered after the word title. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and you can see here that there are 70 different news feeds. Now, because there are so many, typically, we provided a feature, a number of news items, which will allow you to work off, in this case, 70 in chunks. So in this case, I'm going to set it to 2. So what will happen is when you visit the CNN News, instead of displaying all 70, it'll do 2 at a time, and then move on to the next scrolling message. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So if you're happy with this, you can hit this word Add to News Feeds. And you can see now that CNN Top Stories is at the bottom. We want to make sure it's selected here. And I'm going to unselect the New York Times one. Okay, so let's see what is going to happen. Look at the scrolling message library. And the very first entry here is office hours. So that's what's going to show first. And then after office hours, the next checked item is CNN Top Stories. And so after you will see 2 top stories, see 2, at the first 2, and then after it completes 2, it will complete, and then it will go back up to the top again and show office hours, and then after it's done that, it will go back to the CNN and show the next 2 news items. So that's what I meant by working it off in chunks. Now, if you want to change the to, you can. You just click onto that entry, and you can see here there's a selection you can make, and you can choose. You can change it. I'm going to keep it as 2, but I just wanted to show you that feature. Okay, so let's actually see it in action. I'm going to return to main, and then I'm going to hit Run FlexDisplay. And if you're watching, make sure and look at the bottom of the screen here. And the first thing you'll see is that the office hours appeared. Now the first CNN news item appears. And notice the little dot, dot, dot at the end there, which means that the news item is longer than 2 lines. In fact, it's 3. Now I'm working off the second news item, and there's a dot, dot, dot again, so it's longer than 2 lines. And again, it's 3 lines. And then the next thing you should see is the office hours. And we're going to then go back to the CNN as the third news item. And you can see dot, dot, dot is longer than 2 lines. And you see dot, dot, so it's even longer than 4 lines. And by the way, it can be as long as it needs to be. And then here's the last line of that one, so it was 5 lines long. And then here's the fourth news item. Okay, keep going. It's 4 lines long. And then we should now return back to the office hours. And it'll just keep going until it'll keep cycling through and just work through. Now when it completes all 70 news items, it will then go and get the news feed again from CNN, go out on the web and look. And that's so that if there's any changes, you'll see it reflected in these news feeds. Okay, so that will conclude the tutorial for news feeds. We'll go back to the main menu. Thanks for listening.